Hey, how you doing, ladies?
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. Hey, before we get started on any podcast, I don't know if they warn you, we do this thing called the over the top intro because we're grateful whenever we have awesome guests such as yourself. So, do you mind if I butter your bread a little bit before we start this a little bit?
Okay.
Please.
All right. Well, my next guest is an award-winning producer, writer, and director. You may know her from films like Finding Her Beat, First Daughter in the Black Snake, and The Fabulous Ice Age. And right next to her on this Zoom screen is an Emmy award-winning producer and McKnight Filming Fellow. You may know her from her works as Minnesota Mean, Finding Her Beat, Risking Light, and these two have formed like Voltron, and what we are here to talk about today, their latest project, Uncle Roy, Keri Pickett, Dawn Mikkelson. Welcome to the podcast.
Woo!
Hey, let's get
That-
into it. I was shown the sizzle reel to actually prepare for this. I know you individually from your works, but this, well, Keri, I'm just gonna kind of pick on you a little bit. This is very personal. What made you just you've done other stuff, but what made you this is the time for Uncle Roy?
Well, actually, I feel like this is a film that's been decades in the making because when I transitioned from being a still photographer and author and photojournalist into a filmmaker, it was because I found Roy Blakey, my uncle's 8 millimeter clips of his life as he was traveling the world as a figure skater with Holiday on Ice. And his amazing passion for this genre of the ice shows caused him to create an archive of 44,000 pieces documenting a century of dancing on ice. And so I made this film, The Fabulous Ice Age, in part to help people know that he had this archive and that it needed a home. And the film, I really wanted the film to have more about Roy's personal life in it, but the history of the ice shows had never been told. And so that story prevailed. And I was left with a lingering thought that I really still want to do a story on my uncle and a film about my uncle and how amazingly positive and funny and industrious and groundbreaking he was and is as a person. And so I kept filming and I started reaching out to people whose lives he had touched. And through that process, I came to know even more about him. And so as the years advanced, I said to Dawn, "Hey, Dawn, I really want to make this film about my uncle. And will you help me edit it? Because I have so much footage and I'm really preoccupied with filming Roy still and focusing on his story and taking care of him in his final year of life." And so she jumped on board and she's been editing this film for a year.
Oh, okay. Now, unfortunately, your uncle did pass on last year. But did he get a chance to see anything from this? Or granted, you've been editing for over a year, but did he get a chance to kind of see any of this process?
Yes, he got to see some of um, the advancing of the sizzle reel. And our sizzle reel is currently 4.5 minutes, but it started out at almost 8 minutes. And so he got to see that version and he knew that I was filming. I think, as I was filming, I wasn't even really sure how it was all going to work out and how it was all going to come together. But I just knew that I had to stick with it and that I had to show the depth of my devotion to my uncle's legacy.
Well, um, you did it if you have that much footage, and I think Dawn can agree. But Dawn, after going through the footage and going through the archives, um, what do you feel that, because obviously you can't show it all,
No, not
so
yet.
what was your focus on getting the everyman like myself to do to just what is the through line of this story that you're trying to tell via editing, I guess. What
Yeah.
would you feel is happening right now? For
Well, yeah,
remember, out the street, don't know Roy from Adam, I don't know anything.
right.
So how are you saying
Exactly.
that to me?
Well, so this film is about this extraordinary man who lived 94 years and within those years lived a bigger life than most anybody I've ever met. And but beyond that, extraordinary life that Roy lives, being a theatrical figure skater and a collector and a photographer and the grandfather of gay nude photography, all these things. But, at the core of this, it is also the story of family and how we stand up for each other, how we care for one another. This is the last year of Roy's life is kind of the container for this film. And although, we look at in depth at what that life consisted of, at the end of the day, we're also looking at that time when Keri is caring for him. And his memory is starting to fade away. And so then it becomes a question of the importance of memory and the importance of legacy. And, by the end of the film, she knows his life story more than he does. And it's quite beautiful in that way. And, I think that for me, as I talk to other people about this film, what really connects with them is what do we do with the legacies of our families? Maybe our family members didn't have 44,000 pieces of theatrical figure skating, but they do
Not like you counted.
have, yeah, not like we're counting. But they do have old family photos and they have, what do you leave? What carries on? How does your story go beyond your life and who do you impact? And I think that these are the kind of bigger questions that people will come away with Uncle Roy and, reflect on their own lives and their elders and what responsibility do we have to that generation before us who cared for us when we were little?
Right. So now we're here at the Kickstarter part. Now, the okay, the reason I'm asking about relating and stuff like that because it's hard. You're trying to get people to give money, fork over
Yeah.
their hard-earned money for something that they may or may not know yet. Obviously, if you watch the Sills of Rule, if you watch this podcast, now you know. So why Kickstarter? Why leave it up to the people instead of just being self-funded or finding producers or people who will back it? Why the people, I guess?
I mean, Kickstarter is really it's about raising money for sure. I mean, we need that $40,000 to make this film happen. We're trying to raise 40,000 in 40 days, but it's also about raising a community around your film and creating a connection with that community that this is our film. There's a certain stage in a film's life where all of a sudden it becomes greater than the filmmaker and greater than, it takes on a life of its own.
Right.
And I think we're at that stage with Uncle Roy where Uncle Roy deserves a community and deserves people to care for him and nurture him in some ways. And so Kickstarter is a wonderful way of doing that, of, really finding those people that this is their sweet spot. These stories, whether it be skating, gay history, family caregiving, that those themes mean something to them because those will be the people that at the end of the day, when the film is done, will be the first in line to watch the film. They'll be the folks who are saying, hey, I could use this in my community to do XYZ, to have these conversations that we need to have. So it creates a community that is just so strong and, it's an exciting time. I mean, I don't know. I just could go on and on about that as a filmmaker because you have your baby, you have your film that you've kept so close to you for so long, and now to let the world in at this first stage to, support it's a big deal and it's taking off. I mean, within the first couple of days, we're at 32% right now
Oh,
as we're recording this. So that's not bad for a
no,
few
it's not.
days. We're doing okay, but we could,
Uh,
we still have
there's
two
ways to
thirds
go,
left.
but still, it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
A lot has gone into just the creation of the rough cut beyond just, of course, the decades of gathering that footage and making footage of him. We have been editing for a year. And so it's kind of like, my pockets are really in need of having support. And what I really think about it is that indie filmmaking, we don't have that big Hollywood studio behind us. And so we really have to rely on people who care about authenticity in filmmaking, people who care about an alternative vision, people who care about having stories told that don't usually get told. And that only happens with the support of others. Mountain climbing is, you need a leg up.
I understand. Now, along with this, and I'm so sure we'll get the word out ourselves, where would people go to Kickstart or whatever? Where would they go? Come on, floor is yours.
Okay, well, first of all, please join our mailing list by going to uncleroyfilm.com, and you can join our mailing list where you can get updates, and we'll be offering some special offers at the website, and then the Kickstarter page, but also our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, Uncle Roy Film.
And
Okay.
then there are links from all of those places to the Kickstarter, as well as you can just search on Kickstarter, Uncle Roy, and you'll find it.
Okay. Well, one thing I do always love to ask about this, I know Keri is super personal for you because you're, I mean, you're in it. Dawn, this has now become your mission. So I'm very curious, what do you want people to take away from this film? When they screen it, or I have no doubt that the Kickstarter is just going to crush it. I have no doubt you're going to reach your goal. But I guess what I'm getting at is, what when the finished product shows up, what do you want the audience to take away from this film?
I want to see how one person, one who happens to be queer, one person can have such a big life that it can impact and influence the lives of so many. His talent helped lift up so many hopefuls who he photographed so that they could have their beautiful portrait to get their job on Hollywood or on Broadway. And I just think that one person can really make a difference. And I'm also a person who can make a difference by honoring and respecting and loving my elders in such a way that I'm willing to sacrifice to care for them. And I think that's a message that I really want to share with others, that it's worth it. It's worth all the tears and the difficulty and the no sleep and everything. It's worth it for us to care for our family members. And I think that aging in our society really could use a, uplift.
I hear you. I hear you. Dawn, you're editing this thing, so what do you want people to take?
Well, I think Carrie's kind of hit the nail on the head. I really hope that people reflect on their own lives and see the possibility for relationships with elders. I think also just the beauty that Joy, I mean, Roy's whole life was about beauty, and you see that in his work. And maybe it would be an awesome outcome, right? If people could look for the beauty in their lives and think of Roy, have Roy inspire them to look for the beautiful, because when you go through tough times, as many people are right now, sometimes it's hard to see the beautiful, and he certainly did that during some pretty tough times himself, and so I guess that's what I would love.
Okay.
We don't want histories to be erased. And I think it's really about remembering our histories and collectively celebrating them.
Okay. Well, ladies, I know we're up against it. I only had such a short time. I thank you for just giving me a little bit of your time today. We could talk about Uncle Roy. On our social media pages and stuff, we're gonna make sure we post the Kickstarter or the website just so they can get a full-on picture of everything. And I wish you nothing but the best. And who am I kidding? You guys are pros. You know what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
But I wish you all the best, and just thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sam.
You too. This
All
is
right.
great.
Have a great one, guys.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.